Welcome to The Spontaneous Generation. This is your host, Bryan Jimenez, and today my guest, Gonzalez, and we're going to be talking about different things that impact business and how business is done both in the U.S. and globally, and how having a millennial viewpoint can be both positive and negative, and how can it be improved, and how can business functions and processes and even business culture be improved by having different perspectives. And yeah, that's going to be part of what we're going to be talking about.
That's a lot of information there.
That's more information than we need. But so I think we can start a conversation about let's say technology and how it impacts on business and how it's affecting the way people do their work, right? For example, technology is simplifying certain processes, right? It's gonna eliminate certain jobs that are done by humans. Not eliminate the jobs, but it's gonna eliminate the fact that they are done by people and they're gonna be automated by machines, right? Like truck driving and transportation is probably very soon going to be, self-driving vehicles and things like that. So, I mean, is that something that people should be worried about? How is that going to impact the workforce?
Well, going back to Elon Musk, yeah, he's already developing those semi trucks, like automated semi trucks that are, so obviously that eventually truck drivers are, they're going to be replaced.
Yeah.
Taxi drivers, we were starting to see that with the whole Uber and all this craziness going on. So obviously, I can't remember who I heard recently was saying that at some point when everything's automated and there's very little need for labor, we're going to have to find a way that, or the government's going to have to find a way to give us some sort of just give us what's the word, allowance, because it's just going to be hard to be unemployed, to have full employment, that there's just no way that it can continue the way technology is going.
So you're saying that we might even have to redefine what employment even means at some point.
But I think we're already starting to see that with just a lot of different automation all over the place, whether it's in retail, groceries, and obviously manufacturing too.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean, what it is, I have no idea. But definitely there's.
That's interesting because yeah, that's true. It seems like someone who would have been in that kind of a job is now going to have to move out of that and is going to either find themselves unemployed, and right that allowance for, what were you saying, that what was the allowance for again, for the
just to make live and be able to
so
buy
actual,
the
like,
needs.
income allowance.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how that would even work, but that's
now is that like how they're trying to do it, like a universal basic income or something? What's it called? But it's basically like a basic income that can be given across the whole platform. All people will have a minimum of income. I think that's what it's called, a universal basic income or something like that. I think that's something that I can see how those things could be related if that many jobs, because logistics too, for example, which includes like trucking and stuff like that, but the actual logistics before it goes onto the trucks, a lot of that could be automated too. In fact, I think some of the Amazon warehouses are like, have those little robots, with little boxes and things, and they kind of pick and the stuff. So all that stuff's automated too. So is this something that you think is like just on the up and up, or do you think there's something that should be we should be careful with? Like, is there a point where there's too much automation?
Well, I'm not sure if that's really the issue. The issue might be more like, I mean, that to me it seems inevitable. It's going to happen because that's just the way things go. You know, technology increases, you need to either adapt or, you know, stay behind and find something completely different, because otherwise it just doesn't. You can't keep up. You can't beat the advancement of technology. You know? So it's like we need to figure out a way to adapt.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is like, do we have a mentality that promotes this flexibility? Like,
Well, I don't think it does. That's the
yeah.
problem.
So,
'Cause
like our parents, maybe, you know, their situation in life could have allowed them to stay in the same job for 40 years and then retire.
Right.
And with a college degree. And then now it's the case where that no longer seems like a realistic, and I think most millennials are realizing that that's not realistic.
Well, I don't know if they're necessarily realizing it. I think that they're definitely, they know something's up, because, you know, you start seeing all these protests, or you know the way they feel sometimes even victimized by the government that's not providing jobs or whatever it is. But they don't see that they can actually figure out some other way to do things, instead of just kind of like being victimized. You know, just again, whether it's entrepreneurial or, you know, saving, and most people don't care to save.
Yeah.
You know, so that obviously that affects, you know, later on in life, it affects the way they are. You know, their financial status is just it just makes it harder if they don't do something now. But they're not real. I don't like. At least to me, it doesn't seem like they're really realizing that inevitability of, you know, that progress of technology and.
So okay, so you had me really thinking about something, because I hear people who promote this idea of the I versus the T. I don't know if you're familiar with that, which is the like when it comes to skill sets, right? Which is the I, which is someone who has a narrow skill set that's real deep. Right? And then you have the T skill set, which is someone who's maybe not so deep in the skill set, but has a very wide skill set, right? And it seems that what a lot of people recommend is that you have an I skill set, right, which is a narrow area of expertise, but deep expertise in that area, right? So, do you think that's changing? Do you think because we're going to have to start being flexible now? Right, because, you know, machines and AI and all these things and automation are going to be basically taking humans out of the equation when it comes to certain jobs. Does it make sense anymore to continue to have that kind of I skill set mentality, or should we be looking into more like a T type of skill set where we had a wide skill set where we can be adaptable and flexible?
Well, that's the thing. I really don't know.
Well,
I mean, we need those people that understand really in depth what, you know, like, for example, in engineering or, you know, industries like that. But most of us are not, you know, engineers, or, you know, we don't have those type of skill sets. That we need to be more flexible in the way we adapt to, you know, the changing economy, the changing market. So yeah, I mean, we definitely need both, but I don't know exactly like which. I think the broader population probably a broader, you know, skill set, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not
it's still interesting, because I hadn't really thought about it that way. Is that it seems like we will be needing more people to have at least from what I'm getting from this is that the importance of having a broader skill set, because that's my approach personally. My approach personally is some people try to use the analogy of a jack of all trades is a master of none, right? Which makes sense in certain contexts.
right.
But for example, when you look at that same thing in a context of like computer science, right? Computer science is actually trying to achieve for example, in AI with an artificial intelligence that has such an incredibly wide um, scope of knowledge that it's able to have a picture of the world where it can make sense of the interconnections. And it is actually considered much more intelligent. In fact, orders of magnitude more intelligent than, let's say, for example, an AI that can drive a car, right? Which is a deep knowledge of driving a car, but it can do nothing else. So I think maybe that's starting to come to the fore.
Obviously, this can go on. We can continue talking about it forever, but we don't have that time. So
Time's up. So join us for the next section. We're going to be talking a little bit more about things like this that impact business, and in particular, how we can have a different perspective and adapt to the adaptations and the changes that are happening in both the economy and the business landscape in general. So join us for the next episode.